Hello everyone. Today I'll be sharing with you like 7 signs that you can find out whether you have a trouble or a problem in your heart chakra. Okay, so what is heart chakra? Heart chakra is our fourth chakra, and this is the chakra about love. So if you take why does this chakra gets blocked? Grief or pain. So if you take, like, I remember back then when I was like in my early 20s, I felt like my heart was like frozen. This is as a defense mechanism in order to protect myself from the hurt from the outside. But the problem with this is like when you froze your, like when your heart is frozen, not just the hurt, but also the love will not come into you. For your heart to get healed, the very thing you need is love. So, more you receive love, more more your heart will start open up. So, our healing process, what is like, sometimes I tell, like, what is the most healing force in this world, which is love. So, that is the chakra that we are going to talk about, which is the heart chakra. So, what are the 7 signs that we can see that we have a problem in our heart chakra? Okay, first one is if you have a lot of grief in your heart, that would be the first sign that you know that there's a problem with your heart chakra. What happens when you have a lot of grief in your heart? Heart get closed. Like you will be very disconnected with the outside world and you'll be very closed off. So that is the first thing, which is when you have a lot of grief in your heart, this chakra gets blocked. So this is why it's very important that we do our like inner work in order to heal ourselves. Like more we heal our pain, our grief, more this chakra starts blossoming, starts opening up. And more we can like listen to our heart. Like most of the time, one of the biggest thing that I always tell truth seekers is listen to your heart, listen to your heart, listen to your heart, like listen to your intuition. So if our heart is blocked, how can we listen to our heart? So this is a very important chakra. Okay, second thing is, if you feel like isolated and alone, that is also another sign that you have a block in this chakra. You have an imbalance in the heart chakra. Because this is about the chakra, which is about the connection, which is about the love. But if you constantly feel like you're isolated from the world, that means that like your heart chakra is being affected, your heart chakra is being blocked. Because we connect with people through love, and when we cannot connect with people in a genuine way, that is a way that we just like our chakra gets blocked and we don't really able to connect with people, and which we may feel like we are isolated and alone. And sometimes I've seen people getting really identified with not with their true self, but with a false self or the image of who they think who they are. And what happens is through that, like they find it difficult to connect with other people in real ways. So which makes them feel like isolated and as if they're alone in the world, which is not the case, because a person who has gone through a spiritual awakening knows that like we are all one and connected. Though it looks like we are a singular person living in this world, like as if we are just separate, but in reality, if we go deeper within ourselves, like we are all one and connected. So I feel like for the truth seeker, this chakra is very important. And then the next thing is, if you find that you have a trouble like finding and maintaining a relationship, that is also an indication there's an imbalance in your heart chakra. Because this is a chakra more about the relationships, love, and that area. So if you find that you have problem like finding a person for yourself, as also like sometimes you can find a person, but to maintain for long term is also a question like that. It could be difficult. So if you find that you find it like difficult to maintain a relationship long term, especially intimate relationship, that is also an indication there's a problem with your heart. And then the next thing is like, if you are very, very critical inside yourself, like if you're constantly criticize you inside, and there's a very vicious inner critic inside and constantly telling why you're not good enough, why you have done this wrong, why you have done that wrong, like constantly, whatever you do, it's not good enough. And these are the voices that we have picked up from our environment. That could be a parent, which is somehow now it has become our self-talk, and it is very vicious, and it is constantly talking to you in a very vicious way. That is also an indication that you got to work on your heart chakra. And I remember like back then when I started my healing journey, and I had a very vicious inner critic inside, was like constantly critical about what I'm doing and how, like, whatever I have done, ways I have, like let's say I do a presentation, like I have done it 90%, but this mind is just focused on that 10% how I didn't do it right, or like there were some things that I said not right or something like that. That's what the mind just focused on. And I remember when I had this inner, like a vicious inner critic, that's how it was like. And so if you find yourself like you have a very vicious inner critic, there's some work you need to do in order to heal that within you. And then the next thing is like if you are very critical with yourself, your relationship is the relationship you have with yourself is a reflection the relationship you have with the world outside. So if you are critical with yourself, that is an indication that you are critical with other people, because it's the same relationship, but the relationship you have with yourself, because world is outside is yourself in deeper sense. So if you are quite critical to the outside world and just constantly criticizing, judgmental, and why this person is like that, or like you get triggered by how the people are like acting out, which is strangers in the world, but you still get triggered by their behaviors or how they act, and there's a lot of criticism going inside about the other people, the judgments. That is also an indication, a problem with the heart chakra. And like, especially when we become very judgmental and critical, what happens is it's difficult for us to connect with other people, because that criticism that just really blocks for us to just get truly connect with other people. So that is also one indication that you go to work on your heart chakra. And then the next thing is like if you feel like you have shyness around like reaching out to people or like reaching out to strangers and talk to strangers, or like reaching out in general, like if you feel shyness, that is also an indication, which is something with the heart chakra. And then the next thing is like if you feel like when you have an interactions with other people, if you feel like other people are taking way too much energy out of you, that is also an indication that you have an imbalanced heart chakra, which might you need like maybe emotional boundaries, so that is also an indication that we got to work on our heart chakra. Actually, in this whole 7 chakras, heart chakra is one of the most important, and this is the element for heart chakra is the air. And for us, healing heart chakra is huge when it comes to even for a truth seeker, because I know that my channel is being watched by truth seekers. So for someone who is going on a truth seeking journey, for them it's very, very vital chakra, I could say. So see where you have trouble with so that you can start working on them, and even into the future, like in videos that I would be happy to share how you can heal your heart chakra. And definitely there are ways that you can bring this chakra into balance. And this is also not to say that like once you balance the chakra, that will be balanced forever. Not really. Like sometimes that time to time that can get into imbalance and balance. Like just like sometimes like if you take on daily basis, we take a shower in order to keep our body clean. Just like that, we need to work on our chakras, and this is our energy body. And if you take, we do many things to our body, like our physical body, but when it comes to our, like energy body, these are our energy centers. We tend to not focus on that, but when you come into this work, inner work, and healing journey, like it's very, very important that we focus on even cleansing our energy centers, which is our energy body. Okay, so I will share like into the future how you can further heal your heart chakra. Thank you.